is the first time that I see you in the year of the rooster. Okay, I hope you still remember me. We met 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and I hope you had a good time with taking this course. And just in case you have any questions about the subject, you can always let me know. Okay, so we are done with the midbrain and so on, and now we move down a little bit, and that's why in this lecture I'm going to do cranial nerve. Are you ready for the class? Okay, so cranial nerve. This is how you can see it from underneath. The underneath of the brain is, you can see all the nerve here. Hey. Okay, I can sit down and wait. Okay, if you're not ready, I can sit down and wait. Okay, ready? Playing the YouTube at the background. Oh, I see. That's why you guys are not happy about that. I see. Okay, let me stop it first. Okay. All right, there we go. Okay. Okay, here. All right. So everybody are happy now. Okay, so this is the cranial nerve from underneath the brain. And you can see that it's like a pair of the cranial nerve. There are 12 pairs, one on the left-hand side and then one on the right-hand side. Basically, they are symmetrical. So you can see the numbering sometimes appear on the left, sometimes appear on the right, but they are really symmetrical, identical, left or right. Okay. So more or less is from the anterior part of your brain. Number one, that is olfactory. The olfactory nerve, number one, and then it's talking about your nose and then your eyes, and then more or less going posterior and more or less going down. So the numbering more or less arranged in a organized manner from the more top region of your head and then all the way down to more like the neck region. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to the number 12. And you can see some nerves are kind of small because it's a simple nerve that only transmitting one type of sensation. And then some nerves are more complicated because it's a mixed nerve, it's quite big, like trigeminal nerve, number 5. Okay, so olfactory, and then optic, and then oculomotor, and then notice number 3, number 4, and then number 6 are more for the eyeball movement, oculomotor, and then trochlea. And then number 6 is the abducens nerve. And then number 5 is the mixed nerve that we'll spend time to explain a little bit more. And then number 6, and then number 7. Number 7 is the facial nerve, also kind of mixed nerve, a very important nerve that we'll spend time on. So number 7. And then number 8 is the vestibulocochlear nerve. And then number 9 will be the glossopharyngeal nerve. So that is more like coming down around your thorax region. Number 9. And then number 10, vagus nerve. And Dr. Chen just finished talking about the autonomic nervous system. That vagus nerve is a very important nerve, you all know. Okay, so that's number 10, and then number 11 is the accessory nerve, and then number 12 is the hypoglossal nerve. Okay, so we'll talk about each one of it one by one in more detail. And basically, all of these 12 pairs of cranial nerve can be seen underneath the brain, except number 4. But number 4, should be more to the top. But now they just, for convenient purpose, put it down and let you see the trochlear nerve, so that it appear in this position. Okay, so it comes out. I mean, the branching of the cranial nerve comes out from midbrain all the way to medulla level. So one pair, and then second pair, and then fur hair coming out as such. Okay, so overall, this is a summary. Cranial nerve is part of the central nervous system. The nucleus, the cell body, okay, is located in the brainstem, and that's why it's part of the ANS. And the feature of cranial nerve are also very like the central nervous system. However, there are some branches coming out, exceeding the nerve and go to, like the biggest nerve, go to other internal organ and so on. And so the coming out, the branches like root of your brain, coming out from the midbrain all the way to medulla, like what I said. And is controlling head, face, and even the neck region. And the branch go down like the vagus nerve, also supply other part of the body, for example, the internal organ, and so on. So apart from the optic nerve and olfactory nerve, there is no peripheral component. So basically, the nucleus lie inside the brain as the central nervous system, but there could be peripheral components that go out to the peripheral nervous system. So cranial nerve is really the transition. Partly lie inside the central nervous system, and then some peripheral branches comes out to the peripheral nervous system. Okay, so the function of the cranial nerve is very important. Of course, is controlling all the most of the sensation, and also the motor, and also the autonomic responses in this region, the head, face, neck region. And this is very important region. So that includes motor. Motor, you can see the muscles on your face and your eyes, your tongue, your jaw, all controlled by cranial nerve. And in terms of sensation, apart from somatosensory sensation, your skin on your face, for example, or your tongue, you also have all sorts of special sensation, including your eye, talking about vision, and then hearing, audition, olfaction, gustation, and also your ear. Your ear, is also participate in the balance, equilibrium control. So that's the special sensation. Somatosensory sensation, we are familiar with your skin and also your jaw, and your muscle and so on. And proprioception. And apart from that, you also have your autonomic nervous system controlling different responses. For example, your parasympathetic response controlling your pupil size, and also the thickness of your lens, so that you can focus on, reading or looking at different objects at different distance, and so on. So that's the function of the cranial nerve, very important function. And also, carry autonomic function, like what we mentioned. For example, the biggest nerve, controlling internal organs in terms of heart rate, blood pressure, breathing, and so on. Okay, so most of the cranial nerve are responsible for the ipsilateral function, the same side. And that's why if there is a loss of the function or damage of the cranial nerve, it's affecting one side of the body. And we have already talked about this. Most of them can be seen underneath the inferior part of the brain. It comes out like that. And apart from the number 4. Okay, so that's the broad overview of the cranial nerve. And then let's look at the cranial nerve one by one. The first one is olfactory. Olfactory is talking about, from your nasal, from your nose. From your nose, you can smell flower, you can smell different things because of the chemoreceptor in your nose, all right? So you pick up that sensation, and then you send it to the olfactory bulb, and then through this olfactory tract, and then to the temporal lobe of the cerebrum. Then this is the smell of the flower. This is the smell of my favorite food, and so on, okay? So if you have normal sensation, you can smell it. So for people who have problem, then it depends. If it's only affecting one side, then usually there is no symptom, okay? If it's only affecting one side of the nose, just like sometimes when you have a flu, maybe you have a blockade of your nostril on one side. You know that it's not very sensitive, but still you can smell your environment, the food, and so on. So unilateral lesion will be no symptom. However, if it's bilateral loss, bilateral lesion, it will be loss of the smelling function. And I want you to pay attention that if you cannot smell something, could be something wrong with the nose, and actually it could be something wrong all the way through this pathway. If any part of this pathway have problem, then the person will have problem in smelling, okay? So talking about the nose is only the more distal part. So if a person have problem here, olfactory tract, or the brain can have problem. And the problem is the loss of the smelling. We call it a nose smear. And you know, neuroscience, for this subject, we have a lot of vocabulary, and you try to remember the words, and this is how you remember it. So that means opposite, right? And then nose, something wrong with the nose, and then IA is some pathological conditions. So that means there is a pathological conditions that you lost the smelling, and it's called a nose smear, okay? And I know as nose smear, like what I mentioned, could be any problem along the pathway. And an example is like after head injury. And if you remember, there was an old movie, 1995, taken by Lao Tingwan. It's called Mo Wei San Tam. Have you heard about this? Yeah, you remember, that's a real story. It's a cop, it's a policeman who lost, have a gunshot wound because, during on duty somehow, and then there was a gunshot wound here, and then damaged the part of the brain, and the person lost the smelling. And then and then he sued the government and get some compensation and so on. And that movie was based on a real story as such, So because the person lost that function, and the person have intact of the nose, and then intact of olfactory tract and so on. But the only problem is there is problem with the respective region in the brain, and then the person lost the smelling and also other function as well. Okay, and so how can you test the person whether the person have intact olfactory nerve and so on? So you don't let the patient see what you are testing, and then you put the vision, and then you block the nose, nostril, and then you test one nostril at one time, and that is how you test on the olfactory nerve. Okay. All right. So that's number one. It's quite simple and straightforward, and it's talking about the smelling. And then number two. Well, by the way, if you have any question, you can always stop me when I'm presenting. Okay. So number two. Number two is the optic nerve. Optic nerve, the sensory. The sensory is again from the origin, right? So the sensation is coming from the retina. If you're talking about vision, you know that is your vision goes into your eye, and then retina pick up the signals, and then it pass along the optic nerve, and then optic chiasm where the crossing is, and then the optic tract, and then lateral geniculate body of the thalamus, and then nucleus in the midbrain, and then midbrain finally go to the occipital lobe. Okay, so that is the pathway. Like what we said, if a person cannot see, a blind person, for example, that could happen in any part of this pathway. If anything goes wrong, and then the person may have problem in seeing vision. And the problem means it's not all, none. You see it or you don't see it. No, it's more complicated than that. It could be double vision, or it could be loss of visual field of a part of the visual field. So it's all kinds of funny things happen if there is anything wrong along this pathway. It's more complicated than just yes, no question, okay? So the function, optic nerve, of course, very important, is for visual acuity. So whether or not you see it, whether or not it gives you a sharp image. But again, the interpretation of, okay, this is a torch, this is a water bottle, this is interpretation of a visual image. It's not done by optic nerve. Optic nerve is the visual acuity, okay? Alright, so you receive the information, not only the vision, the image per se, you can also coordinate with other things. For example, there are reflexes happening in the eye. We'll talk about papillary reflex, and that, apart from the image, also aware of the dark and light. And the eye is also take part in head and eye movement. Head and eye movement is very important for balance control. Okay, so that is how it goes. All right, so this is the pathway that you can imagine. So you have your visual field, and then the visual fields go into both eyes. For example, if it's come from this side, and then the red thing will be picking up the signals, and then I hope you remember the signal can go to this side of the brain, and then the green part will go to the opposite side. So that means basically each eye will receive visual information from both sides of the visual field. And once you receive the information, it go connect to the midbrain level, and then finally go to the visual cortex and so on. So that is how we plot the pathway of the visual image. So you don't have this because you don't need the detailed information. Like what I said, if a person have problem with any part of this pathway, the person will have problem in seeing things, the visual function. And what does it mean by each part? For example, if a person have damaged the eyeball, then you can imagine that the person may have problem in seeing an object and so on, become a blind person. Or if there is anything happening here, for example, optic chiasm, that will also damage or interfere the vision. And what's happening there? The optic chiasm here, actually there are structures around it. For example, the pituitary gland, you can see it in normal situations like that, and there are blood vessels around. And if there is like a tumor, pituitary gland tumor, and then you see that it become bigger, and then it impinge and compress on the optic chiasm. Okay, and that can damage the vision. So what I'm saying is, any pathway along that, for example, in a particular area like this, being impinged by a tumor can affect the vision. Or if there is an aneurysm, so that means like 叫動脈瘤. So some blood vessels, for some people, they may have grow bigger a little bit in a specific region, and the wall become thinner. 動脈瘤. So it may happen in the artery, and it's like a balloon. So just in case if there is like a balloon thing happen here in the blood vessel, then you can imagine that it can also impinge on the optic chiasm. So I don't give you, this slide because it's too much complicated, but I just give you the impression that if there is something goes wrong along this pathway, could be a tumor, could be a blood vessel problem, can impinge on optic chiasm. That affects the vision. Okay, so that is how it works. That is the optic nerve. Number 2. Any question? So if no, we'll move on. Optic nerves number 3, 4, and 6. So I put them together because they are related. There are 3 nerves. It's called oculomotor nerve, trochlear nerve, and abducens nerve. And they are controlling the eyeball movement. And eyeball movements, there are a lot of muscles around the eyeball. And for example, there are 6 major extraocular muscles for the eyeball. So I'll give you an example. For example, this is my eyeball, my left one. So this is my left eyeball, right? Okay, so I have 6 pairs of 6 muscles, 3 pairs at least, 3 pairs of muscle, and one is for controlling my eyeball going. This is my left, so this is the medial rectus. The red one is the medial rectus, controlling my eyeball going medial. Medial rectus. It's easy to remember. Medial rectus. And what's the other muscle? Lateral rectus, of course, right? And then what is, okay, if I turn it up and down like this, I have one is called, okay, and then there is one inferior, right? So these two pairs that are very easy, that you can work it out. And it's very important that you have coordination of the medial and lateral, and then superior and inferior. And mind you, apart from this pair working on this side, my left eyeball, I need to coordinate with my right eyeball too. So that means medial lateral and then medial lateral. So these four muscles need to coordinate. Otherwise, it will be going everywhere, like that. It's very like cartoon, like movement of the eyeball. So that's that means we need to have coordination, the synergistic action of the eye muscles. Okay, so we'll discuss a little bit more about other muscles. Let's see. But apart from this extraocular muscle, that means outside the eyeball, extraocular. Outside the eyeball, we also have some muscles kind of inside the eyeball. And the inside, like is parasympathetic response, for example, that control the constriction of the pupil and also the thickness of the lens, I hope you remember, so that you can read and you can see objects at different distance. And we have different reflexes that we are going to explain a little more. The pupillary reflex, concentral reflex, and accommodation reflex. So we would have a quick demonstration of the reflex in a minute. So here is the summary of the extraocular muscles. And we have just demonstrated the the two pairs, the medials and the lateral, superior and inferior. And this, apart from these four muscles, actually you see your eyeball can go turn round and round like that. And that's why you have oblique. You have superior oblique muscle. So that means it lies on top, but it's called oblique because the alignment is not that straightforward to pull it up and down, medial and lateral as such. It also have a pivot and then it turns a little bit, so it's getting more complicated. And we have superior oblique and we have inferior oblique. So there are altogether 6 extraocular muscles like that. And now mind you, the ocular motor nerve, number 3, is the most important muscle controlling the eye muscles, okay? So it supplies most of the muscles. There are only 2 exceptions. One exception is the superior oblique. Superior oblique is supplied by number 4. Number 4 is called tracheal nerve. Tracheal means 好似滑輪咁. So that means it tells you that, oh, it's for rotation anyway. So tracheal nerve. So remember, it's a simple nerve. It only supplies one muscle. So you will never forget about this muscle. Tracheal nerve, supplying superior oblique. And superior oblique, the function is for reading. Reading means that when your eyes go AD down, superior oblique will help you to bring your eyeball in and down so that you can read. So that's why you remember tracheal nerve is very important for reading. Reading means bringing your eyeballs when it AD duck and then it will go medial and down. Okay, so that is tracheal nerve. And number 6, we have 3, 4, and 6 controlling the eyeball muscles. Number 6, from the name, you know what it is. Okay, the name is called abducens nerve, abduction, right? So right away you never forget, abducens nerves for abduction. Abduction is what? Abduction is lateral rectus. Lateral rectus. Okay, so that means all 6 muscles that we described, most of them are supplied by ocular motor nerve, and the 2 exceptions is, you can remember the name, is number 4, tracheal nerve, and tracheal nerve is for reading, and tracheal nerve supply superior oblique. And then number 6 is the lateral rectus. The name of the nerve is called abducens nerve. That means it's for abduction. Okay? Is it simple? Yeah, quite simple to remember, right? Very good. And then there's one more here. It's not directly controlling the eyeball movement as such. It's levator palpebrae. So that is more outside. So that means is, okay, here is the summary. Alright, so oculomotor, they supply most of the muscles. The 4 muscles that we described, and also on top of it, there's one called levator palpebrae superioris. So that means is more exterior part of the eye, means lifting up the eyelid. Okay, lifting up of the eyelid. This muscle is for lifting up of the eyelid. It's also supplied by oculomotor nerve. Okay, and so apart from this 4 muscles and then plus 1 muscles, and then it also supplies the 2 muscles that we have talked about, not really controlling the eyeball movement. It's not outside, but it's talking about more like the inside part of the eyeball is for controlling the sphincter, and then the ciliary muscle controlling the curvature of the lens. Okay, so it's also supplied by the oculomotor nerve. So if you don't remember anything about the eyeball movement, eye movements, then you have a good chance to win. Put oculomotor nerve. All right. So the only 2 exceptions is trochlear nerve that I have already explained, and then abducens, supplied by number 4 and number 6. Okay. All right. So this is again more like a summary of what we have talked about. The major extraocular nerve. Extraocular muscles supplied by cranial nerve. And then this is to explain about superior oblique. The superior oblique is difficult to demonstrate because there is some turning like that. And the easy way to remember is superior oblique is for reading. Then you remember whenever you adduct and then you bring the eyeball down and in. So how about adduct, or when you look up? And it doesn't matter, it's more for rotation, so it's not very functional. The most function for this superior oblique is reading, that you remember. Okay, so other movement is more like rotation. Okay, so that is superior oblique. And so just like if a patient have oculomotor nerve problem, lesion, it doesn't mean that the person will lose all of this function. It's not. Okay? The person may lose 1 or 2 or maybe 3, I don't know. So what I'm saying is you just observe what's abnormal or what function is lost. Then you know which muscle is being affected. So you don't expect that it will happen all together in one single patient as such. Okay? All right. So that's why if you see a person have problem with like this, okay, this is a target in front. You ask the patient, I want you to look to the front, to the finger, for example. And then you can see that this person, when you look at this diagram, okay, so the left side of the eye is normal, and then the right side is abnormal. And abnormal means which muscle is being affected. Medial rectus. It's like a tug of war. So if you remember, we have medial, we have lateral rectus, and because medial rectus is being affected, it's weakened. That's why it pulls towards the opposite direction. The opposite direction means it go abduct. Okay, so it's quite simple to see like that, right? Okay, so this is we call it very complicated, lateral strabismus, and it means that it go lateral, and it go lateral means that the medial rectus is being affected. Okay, okay, so this is how the problem. And then the second problem. This person have problem what? Can you observe what is the problem? Yeah, the eyelid drop. Okay, just like some of you. However, remember, cranial nerve usually is uniside. Usually it's a loss of function on one side. So if you see that your classmates have loss of function on both sides, that means he is or she is sleepy. Okay, don't worry. Oh, no problem. Okay, so this person is having problem because it affects only one side, and you expect that it's because one side of the cranial nerve is affected, and then the condition is called ptosis. Ptosis. Okay, ptosis means the drop of the eyelid like this. Okay, on one side. And there is another condition called nystagmus. Have you seen nystagmus? Yes? No? Okay, so we go to the YouTube if you don't remember. Okay, nystagmus. Okay. This is the long version. Let me see if I find the short version. Yeah. Okay, so this is nystagmus. So basically, it's in coordination of the eyeball. So you just ask the girl to, okay, look to the front, and you see that it's go like that. It's quite frustrating because it's involuntary. It's not because the girl wants to rotate the eyes like this. She wants to focus. She wants to stabilize the eyeball, but it keep going like that. So it's quite distracting. Okay, this is nystagmus. And nystagmus can go to different direction, basically. Okay. All right. And the testing of, okay, this is how you test for nystagmus. It can be, okay, let's have a quick look of this.
Arizona. What we're going to show you today is the correct way to do a horizontal gaze nystagmus test the right way, and I'll show some problems that you might incur. Okay, first thing that we're going to do on my subject here is I'm going to have them watch the tip of my pen and do not move their head. First thing I'm going to do is hold it about 12 to 15 inches away, and I'm going to be looking at the pupil size. I'm going to be moving it fairly fast to see if both eyes move the same way. I'm going to stop and see if there's any bouncing of the eyes when they're looking straight forward, which you're not supposed to do. That could be a neurological problem or some other things, and we should not do the test after that. There's 3 portions of this test, and it goes 12 to 15 inches away. First test is called lack of smooth pursuit, where I'm going to move it fairly quickly out to the side, about 50 degrees on both sides, and I'm going to be looking to see if it is smooth or whether it bounces around. Now, how you can get the 50-degree angle is you go out this way. It should be 15 inches out, 15 inches to the right, and a little bit more. There'll be no white of the eye showing on one side. Okay, so you'll do.
Okay, so I guess when you go home, you can watch the whole thing. So basically, you know what is nystagmus, and then the test can go to different directions, right? Horizontal, vertical, or and so on. Okay, so that is, this lady is normal, so you don't see any oscillation like the first lady. Okay, for a normal situation, it could happen when a person have nystagmus, being specific condition. For example, when the person do a lot of rotation, and after like Space Mountain ride and so on, that kind of spinning. After that kind of ride, after you go to Disney, all kind of ride, and then you may have problem and people's eyes go oscillating like this. It's quite normal. Or if you look at the extreme position, sometimes it's bounce back a little bit, go to the left side and then bounce back a little bit, and it's quite normal, all right? But in pathological condition, it's like the girl that you have seen, the first girl, and then you see that you even ask the girl to, look to the front, and then can you focus? And then she cannot control and have the bouncing and so on. And that is abnormal. Okay, so that's nystagmus. That could happen if the person have oculomotor nerve lesion. And also, if you remember, the oculomotor nerve also involves some parasympathetic response, and that's why, apart from asking the patient to do all this testing, like following the target and then move around and so on, you can test on the reflex. And you don't even, testing on reflex is good because you don't need too much communication. For example, if a patient have hearing problem and so on, right away you can perform some quick tests, some reflex testing, and then you can see that whether or not the patient is normal or not. All right. And in terms of the testing, I guess you know about it, but I can do a quick demonstration, and then you can also test it on your fellow classmate. And like the pupillary reflex is stimulated by a bright light. 邊個縮埋啊？縮埋嗰個最好啦。嗱，你試落去度，公平啲對下佢。Okay, can you test on your fellow classmate? And you understand that pupillary reflex is you have a quick bright light. Can you stand up, both of you, please? You can face your fellow classmates and perform the test. So you just shine the bright light on one side and you observe the pupil, okay? And observe the pupil on what this is the same side. You try that. So you look to the front. Oh, okay. So you see right away, okay, constriction of the pupil. And at this time, I would like you to shine on one side, and now you observe the opposite side of your of the pupil. That means you have the bright light on the left side, and you observe the right side. Okay, does it change? Yeah. Okay, so the opposite side also have the response. Thank you very much. And then the last one is accommodation reflex, and you can observe your partner, if you have like a finger moving towards the nose slowly, and then you can see the eyeball and also the pupil movement, pupil change the size. Can you test on your fellow classmate? Maybe you use 1 minute to test on it. I believe most of you have the apps of your cell phone that you have the light source, and then you can test on your partner. To see a quick check, any one of you have problem with the oculomotor nerve? Okay, so do you see the pupillary reflex? The pupil constriction? And how about the opposite side? The opposite side receives no bright light, suppose, but still it also have the same response, constriction, right? You all see that? Yeah, you need to take off the glasses. How about the accommodation reflex? Can you focus? Can you still focus on seeing your finger in front of you? When you get closer. And apart from focusing on the visual field of the target, can you also see that there is some change in the pupil size? Supposedly it will bring your eyeball to the medial, and also the pupil should constrict a little bit because it's focusing on a near object. Yeah, can you all see that? Okay, so anyone have problem? Anyone observe any problem? Okay, so if no, we'll move on. So these three reflexes, for whatever reflexes, they are supposed to have the afferent. Afferent means pick up the sensation. And then afferent is responsible, pick up by the optic nerve. And then the parasympathetic response is the efferent response. Efferent, afferent, is a sensation. And then efferent could be a parasympathetic, could be a motor, all right? and it's controlled by the oculomotor nerve. And so like what I said, if you see any patients having problem, then you see what function is lost. Then you can trace that what is the problem. For example, you go to the opposite direction like this, then you know the medial rectus is being affected. Then this one is so-called the ptosis. Ptosis means the drop of the eyelid. The patient cannot see it if the eyelid drop like that. And what can you help? What can you do to help the patient? The patient can do it by herself. The patient cannot see it, and then the patient may use the fingers to elevate the eyelid, and so that she can see it. Or you can see some patients just raising the eyebrow. So that's we call it overreaction of the frontalis. Frontalis is supposedly to raise the eyebrow, okay, like that. And then somehow it can also pull up a little bit of the eyelid if the situation is not too bad. And this is oculomotor nerve palsy. Okay, so in terms of the pathway, this is how it works. You can see, actually most of you have demonstrated that. You have a fresh light, and then the reflex consists of the afferent branch. The afferent branch comes from the retina, right? The retina goes through the optic nerve, midbrain, and so on. So that is the afferent branch. And then the efferent branch is the parasympathetic response, and it goes to the ciliary nerve controlling the pupil size and also thickness of the lens and so on. And apart from that, it also goes to the opposite side. And opposite side means even though this side of the eyeball supposedly receive no bright light, but still have the same response. It's because of the connection here sent to the opposite side as well. The situation is very artificial, and that's why we have consensual reflexes. In normal situation, it seldom happens that you only receive sharp and bright light on one side of the eye. So that's why it's usually like a big light source that gives stimulation to both sides. But anyways, this is how it works. There is consensual reflex. It also sends out the information to the opposite side of the eye, and so that both eyes will have the same response. Again, this is a more detailed response of what we have just said. The afferent information received like this via the optic nerve, and then the efferent, including pulling the eyeball. This is the accommodation reflex. It pulls the eyeball medial so that you can focus on seeing something very close. And then you also have the ciliary nerve that controls the thickness of the lens. This is accommodation reflex. And this afferent branch, we call it retinal genicular calcarine pathway. So it tells you about pathway starting from retina and then to the midbrain and then to the visual cortex. Visual cortex also called as calcarine cortex. Okay, and this is the afferent branch. And the efferent branch we have already talked about. The green one go to controlling the curvature of the lens, and then the medial, the red efferent branch go to the movement of the eyeball muscle. Okay. All right. So if there is problem with the trochlear nerve, remember trochlear nerve supposed to bring, when your eyeball go medial, the trochlear nerve help you to do the reading. The reading means going down and in. So every year when I show this diagram, the students will ask, oh, supposedly the eyeball will go down and in. And if there is a loss of function of this trochlear nerve of this right eye, will it go to the opposite direction, diagonal like that? But the situation is no. Somehow they'll just go out like this. All right. And we don't know. It's because of a combined action. So that means there is. We talk about like they work as a pair. Most of the muscles we have superior oblique and we have inferior oblique. They are supposed to work in a pair. But mind you, we also have other like medial rectus, lateral rectus, superior rectus, inferior, and so on. So it's a combined movement. So that's why it may not as simple as such, especially when it involves a rotation. Okay, medial lateral maybe it's quite simple. You can observe that it goes to the opposite direction like that. But for a rotation, it's difficult to see. And like tracheal nerve, if there's a lesion, it may not go up to the opposite diagonal as such. It may be, appear to be funny. At least you ask the patient to, okay, I want you to look at my finger. If the patient cannot do medial down and in, then you know that is a tracheal nerve problem. Then you should further perform the test to eliminate, to check each single cranial nerve, for example, oculomotor nerve, abducens nerve, tracheal nerve, and you decide which nerve is being affected. Okay, so sometimes it's not very straightforward, especially when it involves the rotational muscles. And here is nystagmus. Nystagmus, like what I said, it can be in different direction, but nystagmus is also kind of complicated. Sometimes it's not easy to determine whether or not it's more abducens nerve or due to tracheal nerve leading to the nystagmus and so on. So that's why you do not only rely on one single test, you also test on other muscles to rule out whether there are involvement of other nerve. So more diagram for you that you can try out to see what problem the patients have. Then you can work out which nerve is being affected. Okay, so that's all about the eyeball movement. And then now we talk about the trigeminal nerve, number 5. And it's a huge muscle, if you remember. We have, okay, go back to this slide. You see this is quite big, and they are trigeminal nerve. They have different branch, ophthalmic branch, and then maxillary branch, mandibular branch, and there's also a motor component, all right? So this is cranial nerve number 5, trigeminal nerve, sometimes again. Okay, so it's a mixed nerve. It's supplying the sensory branches of the face, the cornea, anterior tongue, and also the temporomandibular joint. Okay, so it's very important, the sensory branch. And for the motor branch, the major muscles on your face, on your cheek is the mastication for chewing. And it divides into 3 branches. If you talk about the sensation, the ophthalmic branch goes up around the eye region, and then the maxillary branch goes to the middle part, more than maxilla region, and then the mandibular branch, the lower, the jaw region. The jaw, mandibular branch involves both sensory and motor. Sensory is around this region of the sensation, and also the motor. The motor is the chewing muscle that we have talked about. So that is trigeminal nerve, sensory and motor. And this is the region. We call it sometimes, if the person have problems, sometimes again talk. So sometimes again is the 3 branches, the major branches, okay? All right, and this is the muscle. The muscle is for chewing, and then it's distributed to the skin and also the joint, the temporomandibular joint, and the muscles. Okay, and there are different nuclei, different part of nuclei. You have the mesencephalic nucleus, and you have the main sensation nucleus, and the spinal nucleus. And apart from those sensory nucleus, you also have a motor nucleus. And you remember, motor means muscle, and the muscle, the major ones are for the chewing muscle. And these are the more the sensory branches of ophthalmic, maxillary, and mandibular branch. Okay, so that is trigeminal nerve. So we have talked about the 3 sensory nucleus, and the division of labor is like that. Mesencephalic, the top nucleus is more for proprioception, for the temporomandibular joint, and you have the sensory. Sensory is for the discriminative touch, and then spinal. Spinal nucleus is for the pain, fast pain, and temperature. and there's no pain go to the reticular formation. All right, so you have the sensory, different part of the sensation. And it can also be tested by the reflex. We call it masseter reflex. So that means you use a hammer to tap on the muscle close to the jaw region. And supposedly, it will contract. And contract of the muscle means close the jaw, tighten up like that. Okay, and this reflex is quite uncomfortable, so I'm not going to demonstrate on you. And then you have your, I don't want you to hate me. Okay, and then the afferent part is trigeminal nerve, and then the efferent is also trigeminal. So that is a masseter reflex. Another one is called corneal reflex. Corneal reflex, I'm sure most of you have the experience if you have like or wearing contact lens. So that means when the cornea is touched by foreign objects, maybe a contact lens, maybe some sand or whatever, going to your eyes, you close your eyelid, right, and then you have your tears coming out like that. Okay, so that is corneal reflex, or you call it blink reflex. And it's also, the afferent part is trigeminal nerve. And then the efferent part is the facial nerve. Okay, so that is trigeminal nerve. And here is some clinical example for trigeminal neuralgia. I talked about sometimes into. So I'm sure you can read it by yourself. So basically, it's a sensory problem. Usually, it's some people have pain, severe pain if they get problem with the nerve. Okay, so that is trigeminal nerve. Number 5. Number 6 is abducens nerve that we have already covered. And then number 7, facial nerve. Facial nerve is also a mixed nerve. Mixed nerve means sensory and motor. And the facial nerve, the sensory part, supply the pharynx and the taste bud of the anterior tongue. Anterior tongue. And then a motor. Motor is the muscles controlling all the facial muscle. Okay? Facial muscles like closing your eyes and then closing of your lips, or that kind of facial expression, and your smiling, that kind of things are all motor response controlled by the facial nerve. And then sensory motor and also parasympathetic. Parasympathetic around your face regions means it controls salivary and also nasal and also the primal glands. All the glands are controlled by the facial nerve. And this is Bell's palsy. Bell's palsy means a problem in controlling the muscles innervated by the facial nerve. Again, this is quite straightforward that you can read it by yourself. And don't worry about the detailed numbers, like the prevalence, how out of 1,000 people, 1,000 population, what is the prevalence of having Bell's palsy, that kind of number, don't worry. It won't appear in your test. And like the prognosis, 80% will get recovery within the 2 months. This kind of number, don't worry about it, but at least you should have some idea. If a patient comes to see you, telling you having Bell's palsy, then you have some idea and tell the patient about, it will be better, in maybe 2 months' time and so on. Of course, it's a range. Some people get recovery quite fast. Some people take longer time. And some people have some residual problem. That means a little bit of facial asymmetry. Okay, do you know her? Yeah, we all know her, but she doesn't know any of us. So that's the difference. And she had Bell's palsy last year. Okay, and Bell's palsy, you can see very obvious is the facial asymmetry. So you can see that the affected side is the left or right. Yeah, left side of the patient. Okay. Okay, so again, this is a real patient, and when you ask the patient to, okay, I want you to close your eyes, and which side is the affected side? For this patient, right side, okay? Right side of the eye. Okay, I want you to smile, And you can see that the patient can smile, but this angle of the mouth drop. Then you see that the right side of the patient is the affected side. So that's Bell's palsy. And the Bell's palsy, and it's talking about the distal, the lower motor neuron. Later on, in my subsequent lecture, you'll hear more about what is upper motor neuron and what is lower motor neuron. For this particular case, if you are talking about facial nerve, affecting the facial nerve, it depends on where is the lesion site. If it's more higher level, we call it upper motor neuron, the nucleus is more in the brain, then you see that the result will be affecting only 1/4 of the face, only this part. If you ask the patient, can you close your eyes? The patient can close it. You ask the patient, I want you to smile, then you can see that this part cannot raise the angle of the mouth. And this is upper motor neuron lesion, affecting this facial nerve, only affecting lower part of the right-hand side. However, if it's a lower motor neuron problem, so that means the lesion site is distal to the facial nerve nucleus. Then you can see that it's affecting, okay, can you close your eyes? Can you smile? No, the patient cannot do it. And that will affect the half of the face. And why in this situation affecting half of the face, why this affecting only 1/4 of the face is because of a collateral branch. Can you see that there is a branch here? Okay, there is a branch here supplying nerve to the upper part of the face, and that's why it can be normal. And versus here, there's no more collateral branches supplying the upper part. It's because the lesion site is different. Okay, it's not left or right. It's talking about more distal, lower motor neuron, or more proximal. That means upper motor neuron. So if you still don't quite get this, don't worry, because we'll talk more about upper motor neuron and lower motor neuron lesion in my subsequent lecture. But this is this diagram explains to you that different lesion sites of the same nerve can have different clinical presentation. And this is more for differential diagnosis. Okay, number 8. Number 8 is vestibulocochlear nerve, and then it's a sensory nerve consisting of 2 branches, and then the vestibular branch transmitting the information more for the postural control, the balance control, and the cochlear branch transmit information related to hearing. For this nerve, I presume that Dr. Chen have already covered, so I will just go quick. For example, the labyrinth, the vestibular apparatus consists of the 3 semicircular canal controlling rotational acceleration and deceleration, and then the otolith organ, is for more linear acceleration and deceleration. And then the cochlear branch is for hearing. So they are all covered, right? Yes? No? Smile. Oh, okay, interesting. Okay. All right, so the vestibular apparatus. So this have been covered, right? No? No, okay. And how about cochlear branch? So I'm sure the cochlear branch is covered because he talked the hearing, no? Okay. So this is quite straightforward. I guess you remember, right? The physiology course should have covered this. The semicircular canal is for rotational, and then the utricle and sulcus is for linear. And then cochlear branch is for hearing. And this is more the external part of the ear. This is the middle part, and then the inner part. And then what? And then the semicircular. These are the semicircular canal for. They are at different plane. The 3 plane. They are taking care of the rotational movement in 3 planes. Okay, and then the utricle and sulci is for the linear acceleration, and it tells you about the position of your head relative to the gravity. And then the cochlear is for the hearing. And this is different part of your ear, outside, middle part, and inner part. And there are 6 steps, right? It's all in your textbook. By the way, have you ordered your textbook? No? Any one of you have the textbook with you already? No? Oh, okay, very few. How about, have you ordered it? Any one of you have ordered the textbook? Oh, any one of you plan to have a go? No planning, all right. Okay, so any chance to get it in the library? Not sure. Okay, well, at least for me, I have incorporated the most important diagram here that you can refer to. This is taken from your textbook. Step 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6. 4, 5, 6 happen inside the ear. All right, and this is to explain to you what does it mean by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it's like if there is a sound wave. Oh, by the way, there is a video, very nice. Make sure that you watch it at home, and then you understand better what's going on in your ear. So the sound wave goes to your ear. You have small bones, the oxycles there, and then movement of the fluid in the upper chamber, and then it vibrate the basilar membrane, and so on, and then finally, stimulate the hair. And then the hair depolarize, the hair bending, depolarize, and then it will activate the cochlear nerve endings. Okay, so I understand that you need to move on. Let me see. I guess these 2 slides, you can read it yourself. I believe, okay, I'll follow up in my lecture next week. But make sure that you read it first, okay? Read it first, and I'll follow up. So basically, it's talking about your vestibular information. Okay, so I'll stop it here. If you have questions, you can come down to ask me. And I know I overrun a little bit because Dr. Chen overrun his part, and that's why I have no time to finish my part. So I'll continue next week.